pretty universal, isn't it? You know, you get through a long work day, you're tired, maybe stressed, and then your evening just kind of slips away, like into this haze of scrolling or endless videos, maybe binge watching something.
And then you look up, it's suddenly late, and you're left feeling, I don't know, numb or even a bit disappointed. You ask yourself, where did that time even go?
Exactly. And it's so incredibly common. It's definitely not some kind of personal failing.
It really isn't. And I think the most frustrating part is that after all that time, you often don't even feel good. You feel like those precious hours, the ones that could have been for actual rest or maybe learning something, they just vanished.
Right, they just evaporated. So our mission today in this deep dive is really to explore some practical, like real-life strategies to reclaim those evening hours. We're talking about transforming them from what feels like wasted time into periods of, well, proper rest, maybe some learning, and ultimately just feeling a bit more human, more purposeful.
Yeah. And for this deep dive, we've pulled some key insights from sources like Reclaim Your Evenings, From Wasted Time to Purposeful Practice. Think of this as a shortcut, maybe, a way to help transform those post-work hours.
And it is a struggle lots of us share. So the focus here isn't about judgment at all. It's about finding actionable solutions together.
Definitely.
So if we want to reclaim our evenings, I mean, where do we even start? The sources seem pretty clear that awareness is like the absolute first step, recognizing the time traps. You can't really shift your habits until you understand what's actually pulling you away.
Exactly. And for many people, it starts really innocently.
Oh, yeah. Like you might put on a YouTube video while you're making dinner thinking, oh, this is productive background noise. But then an hour later, you're somehow deep down a rabbit hole of, I don't know, cat videos, food reviews.
Or conspiracy theories. It happens so fast.
Right. Or maybe it's Instagram. You tell yourself, okay, just 10 minutes and poof, 45 minutes are gone. And you've got nothing to show for it except maybe like a slight headache or eye strain.
Well, and what's truly fascinating here and maybe a bit sobering is that these platforms, they aren't accidental time sinks. Not at all. They are deliberately engineered to hook our brains. Think of them almost like mental trapdoors.
Mental trapdoors. I like that.
They use psychological principles, things like variable rewards. The same thing that makes slot machines addictive. It keeps us clicking, scrolling, waiting for that unpredictable little hit of dopamine. You sort of fall in, and you don't even notice how much time is slipping away until it's way too late.
That mental trapdoor analogy is really spot on. So for someone listening who feels stuck, what's maybe one immediate sign they've fallen into one? Is it that feeling of regret you mentioned, or is it something else? Like, how do you know, okay, I'm in the trap now?
That's a good question. Often it is that feeling afterwards, that sense of emptiness, or maybe just low-level regret. Because during the scroll or the watching, your brain is engaged, maybe even stimulated, right? But the second you stop, there's this disconnect. A feeling that you haven't really been productive or truly rested, even though you just spent a significant chunk of time. That feeling right there, that's a really strong signal.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So for you listening right now, maybe take a second and try to identify your own specific time traps. Is it the TV? Is it the constant scrolling, gaming, maybe even just endless snacking? Just try to observe what you're doing, why you think you're doing it, and maybe most importantly, how does it make you feel afterwards?
Right. That awareness, that's your first really powerful tool.
Okay, so once we start recognizing those traps, the next question is obviously, how do we intentionally fill that time we're trying to get back? And this leads us to a strategy from the sources that sounds simple, but is actually, I think, remarkably powerful. Naming your evening blocks. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But apparently it creates this profound shift in perspective. Instead of just having free time, which is vague, right? And easily wasted, you give specific purpose-driven names to different parts of your evening.
It's true. This simple act really does inject intention and purpose into your time. Our brains, you see, they kind of thrive on structure and categorization. So by giving a block of time a name, like mindful chill or English practice, you're not just scheduling. You're mentally assigning a specific purpose to that time.
Okay, so it primes your brain, sort of.
Exactly. It makes it harder for your brain to just drift into those mindless activities because, well, they don't fit the label you've assigned. It sets you up for the right behavior. For example, the source offers a framework, something like 6:00 to 7:00 p.m. could be, say, move my body.
Okay.
Then maybe 7.000 is feed myself well. 8.00 to 8.0 could be that mindful chill. Then 8.3 to 9.00, maybe English practice. And finally, like 9.00 to 9.30 for wind down.
Right.
Now, it's not about being super rigid every single night, obviously, but it provides a clear framework. So mindful chill, for instance, means you've decided that time is for meditation or maybe journaling, not just zoning out with whatever's on Netflix.
That clarity definitely seems key. But what if someone tries setting these blocks, and they just feel, I don't know, a bit overwhelmed, like it's just another schedule they're going to fail at sticking to? How flexible should these named blocks really be?
That's a really great question and a common concern. The goal isn't perfection at all. It's about building a helpful framework, not constructing a prison, you know? Some nights, yeah, you might only hit 1 or 2 of your named blocks, and that's absolutely fine. The simple act of intending to move my body at 6 p.m., even if you only manage, say, a 15-minute walk around the block, that's still a huge step forward compared to just letting the evening happen to you.
Right. It's about being intentional rather than just reactive.
Precisely. Making your post-work hours feel like they're truly yours again.
Okay, so we're being intentional with our time, but what if our surroundings, like our actual physical space, are kind of working against us? This next insight from the sources really highlights how much your environment can dictate your evening habits. It's surprisingly impactful. Change the room, change the mood. I mean, we've all been there, right? You flop onto the bed just to rest for a minute and suddenly, boom, you're either deep in a social media spiral or you've accidentally napped for an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Your bed, which should really just be for sleep, sometimes becomes this like dangerous place for accidental time wasting.
And this brings us right to a core principle in behavioral science. Your environment shapes your behavior. It really does. Our brains create these really strong associations with places. So if your bedroom, or even just a specific couch, is the place where you always scroll aimlessly or binge watch, your body and brain will instinctively kind of gravitate towards those behaviors when you're there.
It becomes automatic.
It does. But if your room communicates something different, like this is where I read, or this spot is for focused activity, you'll tend to behave differently. Some really practical examples from the source include things like moving your phone charger across the room.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Just to prevent that in-bed scrolling habit. It's such a tiny action, but it can have a really big impact. Or another idea is creating a dedicated evening corner. Maybe just a comfy chair, a reading light, and perhaps your English notebook nearby. It signals to your brain, okay, this space is for intentional activity, not for zoning out.
It's amazing how much power those subtle environmental cues have. So if someone listening wanted to make just one small change to their environment tonight, like right away, what do you think would be the easiest but maybe most impactful thing they could do?
Ooh, easiest and most impactful. I'd probably say it's relocating that phone charger away from the bed, or at least away from arm's reach when you're in bed. It sounds so trivial, I know. But that little bit of physical barrier, that extra step of having to physically get out of bed to grab your phone, it can often be just enough to break that habit loop of mindless scrolling first thing in the morning or right before you fall asleep.
Yeah, it forces a moment of conscious choice.
Exactly. It gives you a pause to decide.
Okay, so we've got awareness, naming blocks, changing the room. What about that transition from work? We've all felt that, right? That mental carryover. The tasks are still looping in your head even when you're physically done for the day.
Yes, the work brain that follows you home.
Totally. And the sources offered a really, I thought, profound solution for this. One that many people find incredibly transformative, creating a simple closing ritual for your workday. It's like, you know how you shut down your computer at the end of the day? You need to do that for your brain to close all those mental programs still running.
That mental looping, that's often just stress keeping things running, right? It's your brain still trying to process the day, solve problems. And the source details this incredibly effective, 5-minute ritual to help stop that mental noise.
Just 5 minutes. Okay, tell me more.
Yeah, it's super simple. Basically just taking 5 minutes to write down 3 things. One thing you completed today, one main thing you need to tackle tomorrow, and one thing you felt proud of or went well today.
Like a quick brain dump.
Exactly. It gets it out of your head and onto paper, which signals to your brain, okay, that's handled for now. We can let it go. Other powerful examples could be like lighting a specific candle only at the end of the workday, or listening to the same calming piano playlist every evening at, say, 6 p.m.
Creating a sensory cue.
Precisely. It tells your brain, work is done now. time to shift gears. Even something as basic as changing out of your work clothes into comfy clothes can be a powerful signal.
That makes sense.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, these little rituals, they become really powerful tools for improving mental well-being and significantly reducing that carried over stress.
I can definitely see how that creates such a clear boundary. What would you say is maybe the biggest hurdle for people trying to implement a closing ritual like this? Is it just forgetting to do it, or is it something deeper, maybe?
I think often it's just that initial friction. Starting something new when you're already feeling tired or depleted at the end of the day, we're kind of wired for efficiency, aren't we? And adding one more thing to do, even a small one, can feel like a burden initially.
Yeah, like, ugh, another task.
Right. But the real beauty of a ritual is that, over time, it becomes automatic. It takes less mental energy. So the biggest barrier is usually just getting past that first week or two, just building the consistency until it feels natural, not forced.
Okay, so we've talked about recognizing the traps, naming our time blocks, optimizing our environment, creating that clear transition from work. After all these intentional steps, how do we actually feel about our efforts at the end of the day? Because that seems really important too.
Crucial.
And this brings us to our final point, which is really a crucial mindset shift. End the day with pride, not guilt.
Yes, this one is huge.
It's just so easy, isn't it, to fall into that common trap of feeling like a failure if your giant to-do list isn't completely checked off or if your evening wasn't perfectly productive.
Oh, absolutely. That end-of-day guilt is so pervasive, but instead of focusing only on what didn't get done, it's vital to acknowledge your effort, to intentionally ask yourself, okay, what did I do right today? What intentional choice did I make?
Even if it was small.
Especially if it was small. Sometimes, honestly, rest is the most productive thing you can possibly do. Full stop. If you chose to read for 10 minutes instead of scroll or do a few stretches or just take some deep breaths, that's a win. Celebrate that.
Yeah.
You really don't need hours and hours to make a difference. Even just 20 minutes spent doing something intentional. Maybe it's practicing English. Maybe it's planning meals for tomorrow. Maybe it's calling your parents. That is incredibly meaningful. And the source offers this really powerful sentence starter. Just ask yourself, today, I'm proud of. And then complete that sentence, even if it's just one small thing. That simple act can genuinely shift the entire energy of your evening, moving it away from self-criticism towards, gentle self-appreciation.
That really is a profound shift, isn't it? Focusing on what was accomplished or intended rather than just what was left undone, it feels much more empowering.
It is empowering.
So for you listening, actively try to practice this. Shift your focus from what was left undone onto the intentional choices and efforts you did make. Aim to end your day with a sense of pride, not just relief that it's over.
So just to give everyone a quick recap of those practical tips we just explored. First, it was recognize the time traps, really understanding how these digital spaces especially are designed to keep us hooked.
Right. Awareness first.
Second, name your evening blocks. That creates intention and purpose for your time, moving beyond vague free time. Third, change the room, change the mood, using your physical environment to actually shape better habits.
Leverage your space.
Fourth, create that closing ritual for your workday so you can mentally and emotionally transition out of work mode. And finally, number 5, end the day with pride, not guilt. Celebrating your intentional efforts no matter how big or small they feel.
You know, even if you manage to apply just one of these ideas this week, I genuinely believe you will feel a shift. It doesn't take much to start. And remember, evenings don't have to be perfect. That's not the goal. The goal is simply to feel a little bit better, a little more purposeful each time.
Exactly. And critically, remember that not all progress is visible immediately. Reading just one page of an English book or practicing speaking for maybe 5 minutes, that stuff builds up significantly over time.
Yeah.
Small, consistent steps really do lead to big change eventually.
They always do.
So maybe your goal for tonight, just choose one intentional thing for your evening. Maybe it's one of the ideas we've discussed here. Just one.
And hey, you can always revisit this deep dive if you need a refresher or even explore that free guide mentioned in the original source material. Apparently, it offers some reflection prompts and exercises specifically to help build these evening habits and maybe even improve your English along the way. We really hope you feel a bit more equipped now, more empowered maybe, to use your nights with purpose. It can make such a profound difference in how you experience your days overall. Remember, every small, intentional step you take contributes to a more fulfilling and purposeful life, truly one evening at a time.